negotiate with large organised groups of their workforces, and organisations like ours were formed to basically enable the two parties to get together and agree things like national pay settlements and all the other good stuff. So yeah, manufacturing and engineering is in our DNA. We have a community of about 20,000 manufacturing businesses of all shapes and sizes across every industry subsector you can think of. So at one end of the spectrum, we've got the likes of Jaguar Land Rover, BEA Systems, Siemens, and then a diagonal slice through that manufacturing community in the UK. A small company for us is typically about a 10 to 15 person company, and it tends to be more agile, new organisations that are stepping into things like the environmental piece. Digital is going to be critical. I was asked to give you some thoughts and observations about the opportunities and some of the threats that manufacturers have been facing. And we literally published our Q1 Manufacturing Outlook survey report, which is pulled together from the feedback that we get from our members and gives a really good indication of, where are the opportunities, what's working well for manufacturers right now in the UK, but equally, where are the headwinds, what are the challenges that are pulling you back. So I think it's really important to just reflect on the last 4 years, and I think adversity and toughness of doing business has been the flavour of the month. And I hate to tell you, but there isn't a lot that is going to get better in the short to medium term. I think we're just at a stage where we have to think that stability and horizon of visibility that you had for your businesses is much shorter than it ever has been, and it's going to stay like that, I think, for a while. The good news is that the majority of members that I talk to are actually seeing that order books are starting to come back. So actually factories are potentially busy, which is great to hear, but you still have the challenges of pressure on margin. And that's already been talked about. One of the big drivers, which was that massive hike in energy prices that we saw. Some companies weren't affected by that immediately. Some companies have only started to feel the effects of that now because they've come out of fixed term contracts that they had with their energy providers. But that has been tough. Cost of doing business because of the cost of materials and availability of materials has been a significant headwind. But again, availability has been improving, and I have to say that the rate of increase in cost has slowed. But we're not seeing too many areas where it's actually falling back. So your margins are being squeezed hard right now, and will continue to be, at least in the medium term. So yeah, the feedback that I get is business is hard, business is tough, lots of inquiries, lots of quotations going out, but it's taking your customers longer to come back and say, do you know what, we're ready to order from you. One of the biggest challenges that I hear is around skills. And just to put that in context, across the country, there are 70,000 long-term open vacancies within the manufacturing sector. And some of that is highly skilled, but it's not just people with degrees and apprenticeships. Actually, we still need a lot of skilled people within the sector as well. So that's a big headwind for us as a sector, and that's difficult because of the decision to leave the EU. A lot of the talent pipeline that we had been tapping into for decades has been shut off. So absolutely agree. Go on.
Sorry to interrupt. Of that 70k,
yeah.
What area you see the biggest number of skills gaps? Is it like technicians? Is it engineers? Where are you seeing?
Yes and yes, and management. So as I say, it's and the point I think that is really important is that the demographic that our industry faces. Average age in most manufacturing businesses, engineering businesses, is 52. So in the next 10 years, 20% of your workforce is going to retire. Why I'm talking about this is because some of the opportunities and the solutions is going to be some of the technology that we'll move on to in a minute. But yeah, fundamentally, we need to upskill, reskill people. You know, there has been in the news recently that Tata are closing down the traditional steel-making equipment, the blast furnaces in Port Talbot. And the message was, 8,000 jobs are going to be lost. But actually, because of the deal that the government's done, we've saved 3. Messaging's all wrong. Actually, those 5,000 people that have engineering and manufacturing backgrounds, we need to make sure don't get lost to the sector. They don't disappear and go and work in other industries. Let's retrain them. You know, in that part of the country, there's going to be some brilliant opportunities for offshore wind, which is going to employ tens of thousands of people. In Somerset, we've got the Gigafactory that's going to be making thousands of new batteries. You know, those people, we need to make sure that are retrained and go there. So that's going to be one of the key things. Young people absolutely are part of that solution. So already the apprenticeship levy has been talked about. Message that we get from our members is before COVID, our sector was training 140,000 apprentices every year. Who can guess what that figure is for last year? More or less? Don't be shy.
That's good. Then should be less.
Yeah, how much less?
Different.
Worse than that. 45,000 apprentices, so massive. So that's why we pushed really hard to government and said, hey, come on, look, the whole concept of the apprenticeship levy is a good one. You know, if you're going to charge businesses a proportion of their wage bills, and the mission is to make sure that we train apprentices, we support that, but it's not working because that's dropped by 2/3. So in the autumn the autumn statement, there was a recognition that needs to change. We need to make sure that happens. And based on the feedback that we've had from members, that is all about giving you more flexibility. And the Chancellor did announce some changes in the budget recently, which are a step in the right direction, which will help you to make sure that apprenticeship levy funds can be, if you're a large manufacturing business, you can allocate some of that funding to your supply chain companies, which is good. But I'm not convinced that that's the whole of the answer. Go for it.
So is some of that influenced by these new TEEP qualifications, these new technical qualifications? They haven't put students through a cycle, so they don't know.
Well, with T-levels, the government said they're going to get rid of anyway, haven't they? So, well, yeah, it's confused. T-levels is an interesting one. The concept is a good one, but as an industry, we had good things like ONDs, HNC, so it's a little bit of what is the problem you're trying to fix? Because that worked for us as a sector. Equally, apprenticeships for decades, engineering and manufacturing businesses have been training good apprentices. So again, that wasn't the issue for our sector necessarily. But T-levels confuse things. There are a lot of colleges now that cannot put on the courses that they were doing before because the government stopped it. Well, it's had a factor, but it's not clear. I mean, young people can still do a good apprenticeship. They can start at level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, there's a brilliant pathway that for some students is going to be absolutely perfect if you don't want to do a degree. So our concern with the announcements to encourage more apprenticeships and give flexibility to spend apprenticeship levy to deliver the training that businesses need is part of the solution. The big challenge though is that a lot of FE providers, because of the cost of delivering engineering and manufacturing courses and the fact that the allowances that those organisations are provided, they can't wash their face. Fundamentally, it costs more to put those training courses on because of the capital investment that's required, etc. That means a lot of those providers, so a lot of the colleges have said, look, we cannot do engineering qualifications anymore. So that is something that we're pushing back and saying, right, you need to fix that. I can't think of the right term. The allowance per student that those training providers have, and off the top of my head, I think it's about £27,000, isn't enough. It doesn't cover the costs. So again, that's a systemic thing that needs to be addressed. So it's complex is really what I'm trying to say. But the message is that needs to be fixed.
Pleasure.
Of course you can.
Yeah, I would agree with some of the comments there. It is very complex, but we try and simplify that for employers. The T-level and the apprenticeship are meant to link together, so actually it is a bit of a feeder, the T-level to an advanced apprenticeship, and we want to keep on developing more routes that do that, so that they can move from a level 3 T-level into an advanced apprenticeship in businesses. In the future there will be A-levels, T-levels and apprenticeships.
Where employers get it right, T-levels are a really good feeder, absolutely. But it's that investment in time and getting those students into the workplaces where some organisations struggle, but you get it right, absolutely, it's a great mechanism to do it. So again, if you want to learn about good companies that have already worked out how to do it, so yeah, no worries. So there's some of the headwinds. So yeah, business is tough, I would say, for a majority of our members right now. What are the opportunities? So we touched on some of them. That whole piece around environmental improvements, net zero, and those technologies. We've heard from the horse's mouth. An organisation that's grabbing hold of it. The perception is that manufacturers are, tend to be businesses that are environmentally challenging, let's say. We generate lots of emissions, and therefore we're part of the problem. We are, but actually it's going to be engineering and manufacturing businesses that solve this challenge for the world. So the message that we're pushing out to government is make sure that we understand what are the technologies that we as a nation are going to major on, so that relevant businesses can invest in those and develop the technologies that we're talking about, and we will see and will be developed, so that we can install it here but also export that across the world. So that's one big opportunity, and again, skills is going to be impacted by that. However, a lot of the technology here is fundamentally technology that we already have. So the skills are very much around electrical installation, plumbing, but there's also the how do you get a capability within your businesses to really understand, what does net zero mean to your organisation? How can you move your organisation to that endpoint, and at what stage? And how can you actually identify new revenue streams, because that's going to be really important. So I think the whole green piece or green issue, net zero, is a big opportunity for our sector. Second one is digital and technology. Previous speaker mentioned AI. AI is going to be a game changer, and it will fundamentally alter how you potentially send out quotations to your customers, how you receive orders back. You'll be able to automate a heck of a lot of your back office functions if you haven't already done some of that, just by using some of that technology. And just to give you a flavour of how and why that can happen, we all expect to be able to order or confirm our insurance or do banking 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, that's not because there's a human being sat behind a desk somewhere. It's because they have invested in an awful lot of automation and robotics, but it's not robot arms, it's robotics that are actually working through those transactions digitally. Equally, there is going to be an opportunity for robotics and automation within manufacturing processes where relevant. Now, often there are factories that I go to see then where that technology may not be appropriate, but fundamentally the back office stuff definitely will be. And the whole change of those technologies, the move away from those very large robots that you see in car factories where they're in cages because they're very dangerous if human beings get near them because they're so powerful, versus a cobot which will sit next to an operative and be working very closely alongside a worker. And the fact that the investment for those, you're talking about tens of thousands of pounds versus the £500,000 plus for one of those other robots. So that technology is moving and changing so quickly. And that, I think, is an opportunity to break down some of the challenges that we have as a sector, which comes from, you know, the perception in the country is that we don't manufacture in this country. And to give you a flavour of the extent of that, we did a survey to Joe Public and asked them, if you're going to rank the UK 1 to 100 as far as manufacturing and engineering countries in the economies in the world, where would you rank us? Where do you think the first one was 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, we asked that question. So pre-COVID, where do you think they ranked us?
I suspect it'll be somewhere near the bottom.
It was 56th, okay? So depending on, 1 to 100, the reality at that time we were 9th, okay? So we're the 9th most important manufacturing economy in the world. And yet Joe Public saw it as 52nd. So if you're a teacher or you're a parent and you're not involved in manufacturing, are you going to say, little Johnny, you really, or little Josephine, you really, really should start an exciting engineering or manufacturing career? Probably not. And that's why, you know, as an industry, I think things like the environmental stuff, the net zero, the clean technologies will be a significant motivator for the next generation of people that we need to encourage to join organisations like yours. And equally, the digital stuff. You know, we hear that, you know, the young people are totally into their tech and gadgets. Fantastic. What can be more exciting than utilising some of that technology to make real things in real businesses that, you know, are amazing. Some of the technologies that our members make are, wow, just breathtaking. You know, it's just really exciting new technology. But just the way that you make things will change, and actually will be more exciting to those people. So there's a big piece that we've got to do. And the last time that we did that survey was last year. Where do you think the public put us this time? No, yeah, higher. 43rd. So yes, we've got some. But that is by showcasing the great things that our industries do, you know, celebrating that. So, you know, I'll close in a minute, but, you know, by having something that we now call National Manufacturing Day in September, it's the last Thursday of every September, where we encourage organisations, manufacturing and engineering businesses across the country to open their doors to where they can, to encourage local people, local schools, local communities, local colleges, universities to come in and have a look. Because until you've been into a factory and you've seen how it works, it's really, really difficult to understand. So the 1066 group put on a session at one of the colleges because of the logistical terms, it didn't matter. If you give me a business card, I can. Well, in fact, I'll send it to you, Donna. There'll be a link to National Manufacturing Day, and get involved, please, if you can, because that is one day where we can really fly the flag and celebrate the amazing things we do.
Is that linked into STEM as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we work with Careers Enterprise Company, all kinds of organisations to really encourage young people to come in and have a look and see what you do. Hopefully that was of interest. Hopefully it was of use. Hopefully that segues into some of the great stuff that Duncan's going to talk about, where, you know, a real business locally has embraced some of the technologies that I've touched on. And can't wait to hear what you say, Duncan.
Yeah.
Thank you.